I think everyone understood pretty early on in 1940 that this was a dangerous situation, not just for Britain, but for the world. For Rivers, and maybe for several of the other bases, but especially for Rivers, the objectives right off the bat was to train pilots that could be useful in the defense of Britain. Britain's under attack, and the only way you could stop the Blitzkrieg was to get airplanes in the air with trained pilots who knew how to counteract some of the fierce attack that was coming from Germany.
I think the military base in its own story holds the fact that there was pilots that came from the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force, from Australia, from Britain, from New Zealand, and Canada itself, and trained there. Well over 12,000 of them. If you were there, then of course all of that spin-off came to Rivers, because there was like a home hardware, but a furniture store and a jewelry store and so on and so on and so on. And even one of the flight lieutenants sat on Rivers Municipal Council. With all of those people, some of them were married, some were not. So along came their children, which came after Brooks School, when it only had K-8. The grade 9 to 12 came into Rivers. And that was part in my time where we had 4 classes of grade 9s. That's a lot of kids. I think there's a lot of lasting legacies from the air base. One of the legacies itself would be that you can still see the outline of the air base. The runways are still there except for one chop in one area. The golf course, the Riverdale Community Golf Course. Another lasting legacy would be in the River Cemetery. There are pilots that came from Australia, Britain, and New Zealand, and they're buried there. That's a lasting legacy. There are lots of people that were either born or married there, and their offspring now are the lasting legacy. So to me, lots.
I think when people look back on the whole era, the base and what followed after, they obviously look back on it with fondness. And there are lots of people today who are maintaining keeping the base story alive. It was really important to the community. Can you imagine having these people from all corners of the world coming to live in your community? That was during the war. But even after that, there were people that had an impact on the town. Now, there were commercial impacts during the wartime especially, and after. I mean, this is business for the town, but there were people connections. There were people who developed enduring friendships, both in the wartime and after the wartime. So it's certainly something the town of Rivers takes pride in, and people that grew up in Rivers especially, they take a lot of pride in what happened and how important Rivers was going back to the war effort. What an important place it was for Canada's role in that war.